I've had my Yamaha Tenere 700 adventure motorcycle for about a year now, and like many owners, I found things that I wanted to improve on it for my own riding style, my own safety and comfort. And so, yeah, over the last year, I've added a number of items onto this bike. I've changed some things, convenience-wise, and I'm pretty happy with it. I'm not done. This has only been 12 months. I'm sure I'll make some modifications and change more. But if you'd like to see what I changed to improve my own comfort and also to improve safety, come and join me on this video, and I'll go through all the upgrades and changes that I've made over the last year to my T7, the Nomad. So I put a down payment on the T7, and sight unseen, really sounded like a bike that I wanted to get, and you couldn't find them and see them anywhere in late 2020. And 4 or 5 months later, I get a call that the bike's in, and so I go to pick up the bike, I have them help me load it into my trailer, and I drive the 30 or 40 miles home. And I've got a long ramp on the trailer, and I'm backing the bike out of the trailer, sitting on it, not used to that seat height, to be quite honest, because I've put my Honda Shadow in and out of the trailer with no issue. But anyhow, as I was backing out, 0 miles on the bike goes over. I hadn't even started up the engine yet, and it already went over. And it hit some pile of rocks, and what happened is it crushed this fairing, piece of plastic. So there I was with a broken bike, and I hadn't even ridden it yet. I'll tell you, I was a little disappointed in myself at that point in time. I own a mountain bike. You can see it sitting on the roof in my garage upside down. And it's old. It's about 20 years old or so. When I bought it, right away, I didn't like how it felt. And so the two things I did right off the bat is I got a new, more cushy saddle with a longer post too, so I could be more comfortable in a position that I liked. And I also bought a riser to bring up the front handlebars that just didn't feel, I felt too stretched out on the bike. It wasn't comfortable. I was elongated, and my front was bent too far forward. Well, let's move the clock ahead 20 years. So 20 years later, I end up buying the T7, which I've had for about a year now, and I noticed the same thing. I don't like how it sits too high, and I'm stretched out too long on it. Very similar to when I had my mountain bike, a very similar feeling. So, I ended up doing a lot of the same things as I did with the mountain bike. First thing I did is that I lowered the bike. I bought Soupy's, as you can see here, links, which are adjustable links from Soupy's, and they allow me to adjust and lower the bike, as much as I want, as much as I feel comfortable with. And of course, there's a safety issue with that too. I had to lower the front a bit also to make the bike balanced. Now, I realize there's probably a lot of opinions out there on whether or not you should lower a motorcycle, and even if you should lower it, how much should that be lowered? And how do you balance out lowering the bike with the suspension in the front? Well, I'm not going to go into that whole detail discussion, the technology. I think there's plenty of videos out there. I just want to say that I did lower it, because I didn't feel comfortable with the height of the bike from a safety standpoint. I had dropped the bike a couple times early on, and that truly had to do with not being able to get my foot on the ground. So what I ended up with is the stock T7 height is 34.4 inches, and I lowered it to about 34. So I only lowered it about a half an inch, but it really makes a difference for my riding. So I'm really happy. It's well balanced. I haven't had any issues. I've been riding it lowered now for quite a while. So it seems to run just fine. I don't think there's a lot of issues with it. I'm going to have it into the dealer here in the next couple of months for routine maintenance, and I'll have them look at it and give their comments to me as well. And also I wanted to add on about the lowering. If you've seen my earlier videos when I talk about the fact that I'm transitioning from a lifetime of riding cruiser motorcycles to an adventure motorcycle, so part of it is me getting used to it too. But my Honda Shadow, the seat height was only 26.6 inches, and when I jumped to 34.4 on the T7, that's an 8-inch difference, and that takes a while to get used to, a seat height that's 8 inches higher than the motorcycle you're used to riding. So I'm getting used to it now after a year, but the adjustments have really helped as well. After lowering the bike using Soupy's links, I took my motorcycle into the backyard and set it up to take a video. As I walked around the bike, it fell over on me. That's when I realized I also need to adjust the kickstand. So I went online and bought an adjustable kickstand from T-Rex. And this allows me to set the length of the kickstand appropriate so the bike doesn't fall over, but has the appropriate lean to the left. Another ergonomic adjustment that I made is to get risers. Just like I did with my mountain bike, I got Rex risers and installed those here too. What I found, and I've seen on other videos that some people have the same issue, is that I'm stretched out too far on the bike. Even though I'm 6 foot tall, I seem to be stretched out too far. I have arthritis in my right wrist, and after riding an hour or so, my right wrist hurts a lot. Now, when I was in Mexico on a different motorcycle with a different setup, my wrist never hurt because the handlebars were up a little bit higher and in closer. So I have recently added these risers on, hoping to bring, which it does, brings the handlebars up a bit, about 1.5 inches and about 1 inch in closer towards me, which ergonomically will let me relax my wrist and my elbow a bit more and hopefully not aggravate the arthritis that I already have in my wrist. So that's another ergonomic adjustment, along with lowering the bike about half an inch or so. Now I do have a cell phone holder right here. There's a lot of cell phone holders for motorcycles on the market, so I really wasn't sure exactly what I was going to need or want. My main concern was one that would hold it, because I do ride off-road a bit, and this will get bouncy and bump around. I didn't want to lose the phone. This one seemed like it would hold it okay. So how it works, basically is the phone just sits inside of this cradle as such. I'm trying to do it with one hand, and then I can use it, and I can operate it also. The other nice thing which I liked about this one is that I can move it around, and I can make it into a horizontal position also, which I like, especially if I'm filming and I'm using the camera in the phone to film. I want it in a horizontal, like all my other videos. So it's okay. I'm sure I'll probably eventually upgrade to some other kind, but so far it seems to be working okay. You may have noticed this little contraption that I've got attached to the center of my handlebars. That is a cradle that I made. It's a homemade cradle, and the purpose of the cradle is to hold the controller and my phone for my drone. I have a DJI Mini 2 SE drone, and so if I want to ride and have the drone flying, I can control it here safely, as the controller is attached, and in the front of me I don't have to. I can have both hands on the handlebars and just occasionally touch the screen to either start or stop the drone. So this is really a convenience piece, but it's also a safety piece, so I can operate the drone on the motorcycle in a relatively safe manner. The T7 comes standard with a accessory power outlet in the front here. It's a cigarette lighter power outlet for 12 volt power. I used that before, and I think what happened is I blew the fuse on it because I had to replace the fuse. So since I didn't have 100% luck with it, I decided to go ahead and install another, and this is a battery tender cord, so it goes directly into the motorcycle battery. And so on this cord, what I can do is I can connect my little portable air compressor that I use when I fill up my tires, or should I have a flat, because they're not tubeless. And so that hooks directly to here. And I also got this other little gadget, gizmo, which I can connect to here. See if I can do it with one hand. And this is a USB port on the end of this here. If I open it up, trying to get it, there it is. And so what I do is I generally, when I ride, is I've got I got a battery pack, as you see here. This is from RAV Power, and I'll connect it into the USB port, and I'll have the battery back in my pack, and it charges this battery. And this is on multi-day trips. I don't really need it on just a day trip. And then when I get to camp, I use this battery power to charge all my other devices. So that's my cameras, my GoPro, my phone, my drone. They get all charged from here instead of charging it directly from the bike. And then during the day, when I'm riding, this is plugged in and powers it. So that seems to work for me really well. I've been using this on multi-night trips, and there's enough power to charge my phone, keep my cameras charged, and then pretty much riding during the day, having this plugged in as I'm riding, charges up this battery. Now, I unplug it when I'm not riding, otherwise it may have a chance of draining the battery in the bike, which I don't want to happen. So it's really only plugged in as I'm riding. So this has been a really good accessory. It's a convenience, but I guess it's also safety, because I always want to make sure I've got enough power. I've had the cases before where my phone's gone dead out there, and I really rely on that phone a lot. So anyhow, this is a good add-on item. Seems to be a good solution to having direct power to the battery, in addition to the power up front that I showed you at the start of this clip. This Kriega pack that I've got on the back of the bike contains all my safety gear that I went over in a previous video. This includes spare tubes, my air compressor pump, those type of items. So I'm not going to go over that, since I have a video I've already done. Be sure to see that if you're interested. But I carry this bag with me on day trips and on multi-day trips. It's a essential safety item that goes with me everywhere I go, and I'm able to carry all my safety gear in this bag, plus under the seat, with the exception of my Garmin InReach, which I keep on my person, and so that's readily accessible should I really need it. So as I mentioned, I've dropped my bike a couple times just when it's hardly moving at all, and it just falls over. But I noticed the last time I did, I had a almost full tank of gas, and the gas was leaking from around the gas cap here. Now I know there's been a lot of T7 owners that don't like this gas cap because it's not on a hinge. It actually comes off. I don't have a problem with that part of it, but I do have a problem with it leaking when the bike falls over. So I saw a company, and I'll put it here because I don't remember who I bought this from, but recently I bought a gasket that goes inside here, and I haven't figured out how to put it on yet. But this gasket is supposed to prevent the gas from leaking off when your bike goes off to the side. So I can't say whether this works or not because it didn't come with any instructions, and it's not obvious to me if I replace the existing gasket or this goes on top. But anyhow, I'll work on it. As I said, I'll put the name of the company where I got this from in here too. So as I mentioned, one of the first things I did was to get the Soupy's links, and I lowered the bike a bit just to make it so I was a little bit more comfortable. And the second thing I did is I bought crash bars for the front. I was going to get crash bars anyhow, mostly to, to keep this type of stuff from happening. This little piece of plastic cost about $150, and I didn't want that to happen every time I dropped the bike at 0 miles an hour. So the crash bars for me were mostly to protect the upper part of the bike. So what did I end up getting? There are a lot of crash bars out there if you've done any research. A lot of crash bars for the T7, and probably just as many opinions on which are the best and whether they even have a crash bar at all. So let me show you the crash bars that I ended up getting. So after much research, I ended up getting the Heed basic upper crash bars, and I'm really pleased with them. I think they fit the bike well. They're protecting what I wanted to protect. The price was within reason, and I think they look good too. So why did I, other than that, why did I really choose them? I really liked the fact that they follow the lines of the bike. Some other crash bars either cut through awkwardly, they extend too far out, they're too bulky. I didn't feel that I really needed crash bars on the lower part of the bike. I mean, I'm not an aggressive rider, and if I should take a fall that's gonna, really hurt the bottom of that bike, I'm probably hurt too at that point. And I've got my satellite phone that's going to get me out. I didn't want to just build this huge cage that I probably didn't need. So the upper part is protecting what I need, and it does provide some protection for the lower part of the engine as well. And I liked how they're bolted. There's 2 bolts to the frame here, there's another 2 bolts here, and then a single one to connect each side here in the front. Well made. The soldering joints are all great, and sort of a kicker for me was they also offered as an option, it doesn't come with them, you have to pay extra, but these little bags that fit inside of the crash bars, and these are really convenient. I can carry food, water, other supplies, emergency equipment, extra gas, all kinds of stuff in the front. There's one on each side, so I've really liked that. So these, for me, the Heed basic upper crash bars, I think they're the best of all worlds. I would recommend them to anybody that wants a crash bar that blends into the bike, is reasonable price, has accessories, and easy to install, and looks good. I think it looks good on this bike. The last of my modifications I'm going to show are my pannier racks. Now, just like the crash bars, there are a lot of opinions, I'm sure, about panniers and whether to use hard luggage or soft luggage and what kind of racks. Well, I decided kind of early on that I wanted to ride using soft luggage. It's a bit less expensive, I guess overall. That's not the main reason though, is soft luggage doesn't weigh that much. I don't want the luggage on there all the time, and I don't want a big and bulky pannier racks that stick out either and look like a bunch of wings. And I also, because I'm camping mostly on dirt and gravel roads and kind of riding on those roads, obviously, too, that if the bike should fall over, I didn't want the big, heavy, pannier racks maybe to cause damage to myself or the bike. And the soft ones are a lot more pliable and, flexible. So I went with soft, so I had to get soft pannier racks. And I didn't want to get a big, huge rack either. And so these are made by Rally Raid. And I've been very satisfied with them too. As you see, they just kind of blend into the bike. They almost look like they're part of the bike. I think of them as crash bars for the rear because they actually provide a little bit of the protection when I don't have the saddlebags on. When my bike should fall down, this helps to guard part of the lower part of the bike. And I know there's been issues that people have mentioned about the exhaust only being fastened by one spot here, but this pannier rack actually helps to protect the exhaust here too. So I like that. I like how they look. I like that they give a little bit more protection. They're not bulky, they're not heavy, and they actually work really well with soft luggage. So for soft luggage, I picked, toss it on here real quick. It might be on backwards, but I'll just throw it here. I use the Wild Heart, and there's a couple reasons why I went with Wild Heart. Again, their price was pretty reasonable, actually. I like the yellow color because my bike is entirely black, and I really didn't want to get black saddlebags. I want to be seen on the highway. I don't want to blend in. So this is going to help to be seen more. They're fairly large. I forget the capacity. I'll put it here. I forget how many liters it is. It's a dry bag, so it loads from the top. You fold it over and clip it. I'll show a couple of short videos of it with gear in it. Soft pannier saddlebags are easy to install with adjustable straps. I also use bungee cords to secure them to the frame to keep the packs from wobbling too much in the wind. I can also carry another dry bag that I attach to the racks, and I sit that dry bag on top of the seat. And on the side of the dry bag, I can attach my tent and my sleeping pad. And it all seems to carry fairly well, doesn't move around too much if I strap it down well. And I also forgot to mention the heat shield that I've got here. This is a generic heat shield. I don't remember the brand. I bought it off of Amazon, and I had to buy a couple of long straps. But this keeps the luggage from melting when it's in contact with the muffler. So those are readily available, but I definitely need that with soft luggage. Well, I got the Nomad out for a ride today. Great ride up to Little Pilot Butte, but I'm not going any further again. It's springtime, and as I expect, trees fall over the course of the winter and block the road. So I'm heading back down into the valley, but it was a great ride today. I live in southern Oregon. The mountains here are covered in deep, dense, thick forests. When I ride in the spring, I often uncover trees blocking my route. This is not an everyday accessory, but I've occasionally mounted my small chainsaw on the back of my T7 when I go adventuring in the spring because I'm almost sure to encounter a tree blocking my route. I only take the saw on some day rides because it's a little bit of an awkward mounting, and I have to carry all my safety gear in my backpack, and I really don't like wearing a backpack. All right, so there are the upgrades of both safety and convenience that I have made in the last 12 months to my Yamaha Tenere 700. I'm pretty happy with it. If I had to think, is there anything on here I would change that I've bought? Not off the top of my head, I can't think of it. But as I said, I'll probably make some modifications, maybe change some things out, maybe add some more. It's like Still had the bike for a year, but still getting to know each other a little bit too at the same time. So please leave your comments. I'm sure there are some, because there's a lot of opinions about safety gear and convenience gear, and that's fine. It's a very personal thing. There's no right or wrong, right? So and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and if you'd like to see more, please subscribe, hit the notify button, and I will see you next time on one of my senior moments.